Hi, it's Frostfire here.
So as a loyal Zelda fan since the original games on the NES,
It feels like a good time to reflect
on the recently released sequel to Breath of the Wild, the hugely anticipated Tears of the Kingdom. And not just because, like many others, I've lived in the game since launch, but because it will be good to know,
was it actually worth the hype?
To solve this puzzle, we'll take a look at Link's new abilities, powerful Zonai Tech, improved open world, the story, puzzles, bosses, temples, and plenty more. But before we get started,
A quick note about spoilers.
this review won't spoil the story and will do its best to preserve the magic and mysteries of the open world exploration.
But some of the main themes that make the game so profound
Are uncovered early on, so you've been warned if you want to go in completely fresh. So with that in mind, let's dive in. So in a similar vein to Breath of the Wild, you begin Link's journey in a well-crafted starter area, called the Great Sky Island, until you obtain the cool new abilities via Link's new arm. You get reacquainted with the sword, shield and bow mechanics, get accustomed to the different weather conditions, and use each new skill to progress through what is a really fun and exciting start to the game, with arguably a higher level of difficulty than its predecessor. There's also a handy piece of gear that reduces the need for consumables, so be sure to thoroughly explore before diving back to the surface to continue the main quest.
So of Link's 4 new abilities, the first one you get
Is Ultra Hand, enabling Link to build a variety of bridges, rafts and vehicles for use on the ground, water and in the air, as well as these insanely creative versions further into the game. Next we have Fuse, which allows Link to combine weapons and items for creative combat techniques, and can also be used for traversal on wheel-based items, like this minecart which can be used like a skateboard. Most of them are unique and provide fun strategic solutions, like the Muddlebud shot, which causes one enemy to attack another. Next we have Ascend, which allows you to ascend through objects, cave ceilings, or even enemies. This mechanic was the most fun to try initially, and can also be reversed if you don't like your new surroundings, or if you forgot to grab something from where you triggered the ability. Finally we have Recall, which allows Link to pick an object and rewind time, and has a surprisingly long range. The ability on its own is great for reversing an object that is thrown towards you, like an explosive barrel or a spiked ball, reversing platforms or objects that allow you to reach previously unreachable areas. It also allows you to correct mistakes while in the air or on the ground. But perhaps its coolest use is combined with Ultra Hand, as you can move an object high into the air, let it drop, jump on board, recall it up, and enjoy the ride.
Now all of these abilities are still great on their own,
But are taken to the next level with a large helping of Zonai Tech, and the Nintendo team did a great job of making them easy to acquire via this gumball-like machine, the Zonai Dispenser. This powerful tech provides an extra layer of creativity for Link to explore, travel and defeat enemies that made life difficult in the early parts of the game. And with what sometimes may feel like limitless possibilities, it's no surprise that some have used it for what could be labelled inappropriate entertainment. Now in order to power your abomination sufficiently, you will need to get battery upgrades. And unfortunately this involves grinding out certain item drops and materials, which can take a lot of time. The Zelda team have created a sequel that is far bigger than Breath of the Wild, utilising an altered surface map from its predecessor alongside the challenging Sky Islands. And as some had hoped, an unexpected third layer, the depths, which just blows your mind when discovering for the first time and gives you that creepy exploration factor you didn't even know you were craving. Exploring the depths is made easier by firing bright bloom arrows, providing light where there's none. If you touch the gloom in the depths, it lowers your usable hearts meter, giving a further heightened sense to the combat. The only downside of the open world is that the ground map is not a completely new area, but it's made up for by the increased amount of enemies, NPCs to distract and interact with, and plenty of new secrets to uncover. Which brings us on to side quests, and these have been done a lot better in Tears of the Kingdom, adding the dynamic of working with friendly NPCs to take down organised mobs and reclaim lost territory. Great if you finish the game and want some story related content, or if you just want the coolest gear and their useful perks. There are also plenty of caves, wells and sky islands to explore, which yield fairies, gear and other useful items. The other welcome return is the inclusion of the travel medallion, which allows you to create an ad hoc fast travel location so you can leave and come back without needing to find a nearby shrine or tower. Registered horses in Breath of the Wild are available in Tears of the Kingdom stables as well, and are still key to reducing your travel time, especially early on. Now let's talk about today's sponsor, tomtoc. Now I like to play all my Switch OLED games, both on the go and when docked with my TV at home. As such, I want a suitable case to keep my gear protected, something cleverly designed, durable, and aesthetically pleasing. The tomtoc case is thin, lightweight, and made from spill-resistant materials. It's also comfortable to carry around via this adjustable strap. The raised design protects and prevents any pressure being applied to the joysticks and buttons. It features 10 game cartridge slots. It also has a soft interior panel, protecting the screen from any scratches. It's passed the military standard drop test, and utilizes the highly durable YKK zipper. It also comes with a 12 months warranty, and if this is not your color, they have a huge range of other options.
If you want to pick one up and help out the channel, see the link in the description. Now when it comes to technical performance,
the washed out colors from Breath of the Wild are gone, the draw distance is better, and the FSR Super Resolution Tech has enhanced the image quality. In Breath of the Wild, we were limited to 900p in docked mode, which produced average results, especially for 8K TVs with upscaling tech. In Tears of the Kingdom, Nintendo is using the AMD FSR1 spatial upscaler to reach 1080p with mild contrast adaptive sharpening. But this is not occurring 100% of the time and is definitely not native 1080p. Tears of the Kingdom generally holds its 30 FPS target, which is pretty impressive for a game this vast, especially with its 6 years old tech. But again, for example, if you're using the Ultra Hand feature in a busy area, it will drop to around 20 FPS. Overall though, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is smooth in terms of frame pacing and lacks any stutter or hitching. The load times are slightly quicker than Breath of the Wild, especially when using fast travel, which does help to keep you immersed. The existing tracks have been remixed and vastly improved, and the new inclusions and scores are even better. Some of the environments and unsettling music do a great job of pulling you into the story. Tears of the Kingdom also utilizes 5.1 surround sound, which is especially important in an environment-focused game.
a classic less is more upgrade in Tears of the Kingdom
Are the changes made to the Pro HUD mode, which no longer shows any UI apart from when using stamina, when getting hurt, or when on your last heart.
The menu and options UX has been greatly improved.
You can now navigate your inventory via the L and R buttons. You no longer have multiple pages for materials and can easily scroll down to locate something. And as the first category on the menu is armor, it makes it quicker to swap gear, saving you more time for exploration, puzzles, and combat. Now, although you could check the ingredients of certain meals and elixirs in Breath of the Wild, it was pretty basic in its display. But now with recipe cards, the info is neatly displayed, which shows the ingredients of the dish and the effects. Now, one of the biggest annoyances of Breath of the Wild were the Guardians. Especially early in the game, when Link got targeted, unless you managed to line of sight them or pull off the perfect parry, you were dead. So it's great these have been left out of the sequel. Almost all of the same enemies from Breath of the Wild are in Tears of the Kingdom, with some new ones thrown in, but they are so much more fun to fight, especially with Link's new abilities, Zonai Tech, and a surprisingly welcome increase in the supply of arrows. Speaking of increase, there are a lot more mobs in Tears compared to Breath of the Wild, where you would explore for long periods with not much really going on. The countless boss fights in Tears of the Kingdom are diverse, huge, and provide a nice change of pace from the complex puzzle solving into fast-paced action. This holds true inside the temples and across the open world, with cool new bosses like the Flux Construct, Elemental Gleox, and many more.
So when it comes to raw puzzle solving,
the shrines in Tears of the Kingdom are a big step forward. In its predecessor, I often found myself seeing another shrine and thinking, I'll just activate and come back later. Where in Tears of the Kingdom, it's more like, nice, what new strategy will I learn, or what cool Zonai Tech will I get to play with? The other great thing is that some puzzles can be solved in different ways, based on how you use Link's abilities, the combination of items, and the environment.
Which is testament to the creative Zelda team
at Nintendo. Each of the temples in Tears of the Kingdom are unique, fun to complete, and are a big improvement over the Divine Beasts in Breath of the Wild. Although the way they are structured is a little repetitive, they are still a rewarding experience. The intro sequence is delicately designed to ease you back into the game slowly, with a casual walk through the caves under Hyrule Castle to investigate Gloom. Zelda is her usual extroverted self, while Link takes on his classic muted persona. And as Link is decimated back to 3 hearts, the upheaval lifts the castle into the sky, he loses Zelda, and Link once again passes out. He then wakes up in a similar fashion to Breath of the Wild, and a majority of Zelda games past, but in this case gets a cool new arm, before being thrown back into the world to find Princess Zelda and save Hyrule once again. And after leaving the Great Sky Island, the main quests invite you to explore all corners of the map in a similar fashion to Breath of the Wild. The main difference is that the story has far more intrigue, and is greatly enhanced by the game's antagonist, Ganondorf. Most of the new characters are great entries in the series, with some feeling a little on the kiddie side, but the characters returning from Breath of the Wild have cleverly matured and remind you you're playing a sequel. The game also draws on themes from the Ocarina of Time, Link's Awakening, The Wind Waker, Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, which are all perfectly intertwined, building up to an emotional, epic conclusion.
The intro and starting area are a fantastic display of just how far the series has come over the last 37 years. Link's new abilities flow better than in Breath of the Wild, and the Zonai Tech enhances the overall experience. A 5 here. Due to some repetition in the storytelling and how Link's character is positioned, the story is somewhat held back from its true potential, but is made up for by the vast sky islands and gloomy depths in this densely populated new world. A 4.5 here. The variety and pacing of the side quests are much better. The mobs and bosses combat is fun, and the shrines and temples have been significantly improved. A 5 here. The Switch's 6-year-old tech delivers 30 FPS at 900 to 1080p on today's 4K and 8K displays, which isn't great. However, the menu and HUD updates were effective, and the $90 price tag is justified, with a 57-hour playthrough for the main story and 216 hours for 100% completion. A 4.5 here. Overall, Tears of the Kingdom was worth the hype and more, by addressing Breath of the Wild's shortcomings and adding significant enhancements. It's also the fastest selling and highest rated Nintendo game of all time. Eiji Aonuma and Hidemaru Fujibayashi and their exceptional team have created another legendary gaming masterpiece.
Thanks for watching. Appreciate any feedback in the comments. Until next time.
You are our final hope.